You have joined the Lily channel, and we are here with Lynn Chheang of Edina Realty. He's way up there in the ranking. Oh my God. And it's finally happening.
Yeah, glad we got together.
Woo! Oh my God. He, he and I met in BNI and Business Network International, and without fail has always been just one of the kindest dudes I've ever met. And that's, I don't say that lightly because when you're in business, it's pretty cutthroat and people have their nice face and their what do you want face. Well, you seem to only have one face, thankfully.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Yeah, I just wanted to go through some questions with him so the rest of the world out there has some clue what it's like to be a top realtor, the ugly, the fun, the everything in about a 20-minute time spot, roughly. And also a shout out to Brooke Simonson, who's one of my newer subscribers. If this is a re-shout out, then yeah, you got more publicity. But new subscribers do get a shout out on here. So share it away with those who've considered being in realty, those who train new realtors. Who else would you say would want to take a look?
Yeah, anybody interested in real estate, I suppose. Depends on some of the topics that you bring up, but I think, yeah, pretty open on what we can talk about.
Even seasoned ones, or even those who are considering leaving, whether they want to stick in it or not. Or even those who are referral partners of realtors to see, okay, is the realtor the correct professional for you to network with, or is there someone more specific? That'd be really hard to be more specific than with a realtor because you guys meet everybody.
Yeah, we can. Yeah,
Oh my
we can
God.
be out there.
Well, I guess one of the things I wanted to know is how do they train you for what you do?
Yeah, there's, I guess if you start from the beginning, there's hours that you need to complete to be able to be licensed, right? And so they require 90 hours for you to complete. And then additionally, you would be taking a test. And so that 90 hours is a really good base training of what you need to do from a legal standpoint, right?
Okay.
How do you operate and be ethical and fulfill the standards of the profession?
Okay.
And so that's again really good foundation, but a lot of the training happens while you're on the job. Depending on the brokerage that you choose, most brokerages have a training program specific to us at Edina Realty. They have a really robust program. That's why I'm part of Edina Realty is just their commitment to the agents. And so it's really great that they offer these opportunities. And additionally, you have to complete, CE each year.
Okay.
Right, continuing education, and so you're required to do 15 credits in a 1 year span, and so 30 credits within a 2 year span. I think I'm accurate on that. It could be 15 within a 2 year span, but I just like to take continuing education to keep the tools sharp, and so
Sure.
I'll go above and beyond if I find topics that I enjoy.
I don't doubt that because every BNI meeting I have subbed at, there is something new about realty that I'm learning. And even though I've never really studied realty, it all seems uh, like where else are you going to hear about it? I mean, really.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got a newsletter. Now, is that, I'm almost afraid to ask, does Edina Realty come out with it and you add to it, or how does that work?
Yeah, every business or every newsletter can be a little different. So we have things that are curated by Edina Realty that we can send out, right? So most people who are running a smart business are using some type of CRM,
Okay.
right? Client relationship management system, and within that, yes, Edina Realty creates some of these campaigns, right? So it's just having the right touches with your sphere, with your past clients, with your business partners. They used to say that you needed to have some type of impression on somebody at least 12 to 20 times for them to remember you, right? And
per year?
Per year.
Okay.
And so for us, yeah, I mean, that's important, right? There's so many different agents that are out there, and we need to find a way to be able to stay connected.
Yeah.
And whether that's just one way of staying connected. And people who are a little more active, I like to get out and I like to be in front of people. So whether it's coffees, lunches, happy hours, just truly just staying connected and caring about what people have going on in their lives. And
Yeah.
so, those are ways that I get those extra touches, and just see if how I can help people if they need something.
And it's funny, despite it being Edina Realty that sends out the newsletters, you do something that personalizes it. So kudos to you, because I'm just thinking this looks way too perfect for. I'm going, wow, it's, and yet you feel like it's addressed to you for some reason.
Yeah, yep, and we do extra touches
That
in
makes sense.
our business. So, there's other platforms that we can use that will help us get out the message that we want. Right. Not only do we do those email impressions, we also do
Mm-hmm.
mailers that we typically curate. Right, and
Okay,
we'll put that message in there saying, here are the main things that we want you to think about for you to, send somebody our way. Right. How can we solve somebody's problem? Or when they're in this predicament, how can you think of us so then we can make things easier for them?
sure.
Mhm.
12 to 20 impressions. Looks like I
Yeah,
better.
I think it's more than that. They say more than
Wow.
that now, and so it's crazy. I try not to be too overwhelming. Naturally, you're going to get some unsubscribes because people maybe aren't in the market or they're getting too much email, and so that's why you have to implement some of these other ways of staying connected. Right? It's
Sure.
we don't just do something passive that's electronic. If you want to truly have staying power in the business.
That's a really good point, which brings me to the next thing. Let me just make sure this is recording. Awesome. Is that I know inventory has been a problem for everybody. And when I
Mm-hmm.
say inventory, I mean houses that are on the market. I mean, how do you buy stuff if no one's selling? Think about 2020 when people were staying put. It made me think, wow, I hope realtors have saved up a little bit because it must have been frightening.
Yeah, it's super interesting, and so the numbers in what you hear in the media are it's super interesting, right? Because they don't always delineate exactly how they come up with something called inventory, which is also known as absorption rate, which is also known as month supply,
Mm,
and it all depends on pace of the market, right? So if homes are moving quick, um, you know that can change what it does to inventory. Right now, inventory is considered up somewhere around like 20 to 30% from last year.
so that means 20% more people are moving out or moving in? Or,
Potentially, yeah. And
oh,
so I
okay.
mean, it means that homes are so essentially the breakdown of month supply and inventory is if no more homes hit the market today and homes sold at the current pace, all homes would be gone in 2.8 months. All right. And so when you think of number of months and what does it mean, what kind of market is that? Well, a seller's market is usually a market that has less than 4 months of inventory,
Okay.
right? Because there's not as many homes as there are buyers, right? There's more buyers for the homes.
Yeah.
And where you want to be a little more balanced is between that 4 to 6 month of inventory, where, yeah, there's about an even exchange. Nobody's
Okay.
really got a major advantage in terms of, what they can command for their home or what you can offer for the home. And where buyers have more advantage if there's 6 plus months of inventory, because yeah, there's probably more homes than there
Mm.
are buyers potentially, and you might be able to ask for closing costs, you might be able to ask for adjusted pricing. And so in today's market, sellers are getting somewhere around 99.5% of their asking price. So as much as
Wow.
inventory is up, sellers are still in a good position where they're getting about what they're asking, in as long as they're being advised appropriately on a home that's being valued. Is the condition meeting the price? And so it's key to price things correctly because that number is specific to original asking price.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
I thought it was a basic question. Apparently
I
not.
mean, I could go all day on it because
Wow.
if the same number of homes stayed on market, but it's taking, instead of 30 days for a home to go under market, but it's taking 40 days to go on market,
Mm.
even though the number of homes aren't changing in terms of how many homes are on market, that inventory number goes up because the pace of homes selling is taking longer, right? So in some cases, there are more homes on the market. And in today's math and numbers of inventory, it is true there's more homes on market. And so it's nice that buyers have some of that, I would say, flexibility to not have to buy a home on the first weekend. But the good ones still go quickly. I mean,
Wow.
it takes about 19 showings for a home to go under contract, and some of the best homes will go under contract in that first weekend, and they might get 19 showings in that
Oh,
weekend.
wow.
Yep.
I
Mm-hmm.
remember my parents telling me how personal it felt when it comes to the showings and whether, do they like us? Do they like our? Oh, okay, let's do this all over again the next weekend. Did they like us? They like us. How much did they ask? They asked for how much? No. And I'm thinking, oh, it's like dating. No, no, yeah.
Yeah, but there's a dating term out there. They say, you marry the house, you date the rate, right?
Ooh.
Especially in today's market where the rates have come down, right? They used to be up near that 7 to 7.5 mark about a year ago,
Okay.
and they're closer to 6 now. And so, an interesting topic is people talking about the Fed rate, and the Fed rate is more on short-term currency,
Okay.
right? So credit cards, and car loans and things like that, where it doesn't directly impact the mortgage rate, but there's always some type of correlation where it may, right? There's a trickle down effect because it's indication of what's happening in the economy, right? So right now it's mostly based around inflation, and inflation numbers are where the Fed would like to see it, and that's why they've reduced the rate by 0.5%. And the mortgage industry actually proactively had already adjusted rates down because of that coming Fed rate adjustment. And I don't know if they'll go much below, the 6 or the high 5s in interest rates in the mortgage world, because if they're trying to control inflation,
Mm-hmm.
housing is a big factor in that, right? I mean, if you get the interest rate so low that everybody and their mother comes out, and then now homes are selling for 5 to 10% over asking price,
Oh,
and
jeez.
think of what that does to the economy's inflation numbers.
I don't know if this is a dangerous question or not, but if a family is given 25 grand extra in credit to get a home, does that mean the home is suddenly going to be worth 25 grand more?
Not necessarily, right? So you're talking about, if I'm interpreting it right, like, so let's say lenders, the mortgage world, they actually just increased the conventional loan rate, and they went up by, I think, at least 40 grand, something like that. So the top number that you can take out is somewhere around 800 grand, where it used to be more like 760. I'm not specific on those numbers. We could always look it up, but yeah, that increases what somebody might qualify for, but it
Hmm.
doesn't mean that a seller can command that much more,
Oh, really?
right? Because it's still a supply demand scenario.
Okay.
That there needs to be that demand for your house for you to be able to command more money and have somebody be willing to
Um,
pay it. Where if they have opportunity elsewhere and they can find the same value for a better price, they're going to go towards a better value.
I hadn't thought of it that way.
Mm-hmm.
What would you counsel a realtor or potential, how should we say, someone considering being in the realty world, given the somewhat low inventory? Would you say, I don't know, what would you say?
Yeah, so you're saying,
Con-
what advice would I give an
to,
agent
to
to work
someone
within this environment?
considering being an agent?
Yeah, this is my own personal philosophy, and so you could ask a number of different agents, and they'd probably give you a different
Sure.
answer. But I find large value in the right network of people. So whether that's the right brokerage where you can get the right coaching, or finding a team, right? I've always, even in my corporate life, uh, I felt like finding mentorship in people that were better than you
Hmm.
or in a position that you desired to be in was hugely important,
Yeah,
because they can help you navigate the market. And so I think the same things happening
makes
here.
sense.
It's who can give you that, who has staying power in the business, and can you seek mentorship from them or team up with them in some type of way where you can help boost your opportunity for being successful and actually stay in the business, because it's a really tough business in low inventory markets, where if you don't have a strong network, you need to build one, right? And how are you going to build one? Are you waiting for people to come to you, or are you willing to go and put yourself out there, right? Are
Hmm.
you going to join a chamber? Are you going to try to find a networking group? Are you going to network with the business professionals in your industry to get yourself known? But more importantly, you need to be within your own sphere, saying, hey, I'm here to be a resource for you, and I want to help alleviate pain that you have when you think of housing,
Yeah.
right? Because if we're not solving people's problems, why wouldn't they do it themselves, right? What value are you providing if you're not coming in and having a network that's strong for them and most of the answers that they need, or the right connections to get them the answers quickly, right? Because it's a fast moving market.
I can't help wondering how hard it would be for me to find a house with a window in the kitchen, because I grew up with. I'm just making sure we're still on here. I grew up with a lovely kitchen window, which made me not feel like I was stuck in the kitchen when I worked in the kitchen. And I like cooking and baking, but I don't like to feel isolated.
Mhm.
I mean, is that fairly standard nowadays,
It
or?
depends on the product. Yeah. So if single family homes will typically offer you that. Uh, Townhomes can be a little more difficult. Condos can be a little more difficult, but there's opportunity to have that in many homes if we just filter it out, right, and look for those opportunities.
My mom insists that having a house wouldn't necessarily make a difference for Norma and me because we're messy to start with, so the mess would just grow. And I'm thinking, not necessarily, because if we have an office room, we'll put the stuff that belongs in the office.
Right. Yeah.
So convince my mother otherwise. Just like, hey, that's not true. What it might not change is your organizational skills, but as far as a place for everything.
Yeah, it could make it feel like there's less clutter if it's in its own room. There
Did
you
you hear
go.
that, Mom? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we're imagining a voiceover studio as well as what was the other thing? Oh my gosh. Maybe a studio for photography.
Mm,
There was something else. I don't know.
yeah, fun.
But just like two separate office rooms, and then, uh, gosh, I could have sworn, well, maybe a gecko room, like for the terrariums.
There you go.
I am like 15 times a mom now.
Oh, is that right?
Are you Catholic? No, I'm just
Yeah.
kidding. Yes, I am, but
So you have some geckos now.
many.
Oh, fun.
None of which I can hold, but they're cute. We look at each other on almost a daily
Yeah,
basis.
you got a special room for everything, you know.
Wouldn't that be kind of cool?
Yeah, you got I mean, you do a lot of media stuff, and so having that media room or that
There we go.
voiceover room
That was
is
the other thing.
yeah.
Yeah. The room for a YouTube channel to grow, or even a Patreon channel. Look for the Patreon channel very soon. And you got your own two geckos, so to speak. You've got Layla and Jackson.
Yeah.
Oh my
Oh
God.
man, yeah.
They're not geckos.
Yeah. Well, Jackson is everywhere, and he's fast, and so he's almost 2. He'll be 2 in November,
Wow.
and
Yeah.
Layla's 4 months, and she's doing like all these types of moves right now. She's doing like these back arches where she's
Ooh.
almost bridging, where I think she's trying to roll over. So
Wow.
that'll be fun to see. She's to have 2 under 2. It'll be interesting once the one's crawling, and you always need one-on-one to make sure everybody's safe.
Now, how do you and Stephanie balance the constant work of realty, and she's in nursing too, right?
She's a dentist. Yep.
Oops.
Yep.
Healthcare.
So yeah, so she's a dentist and osteo, and yeah, I mean, communication, planning, I think is important. You know, I value our family a lot, and I think that you end up attracting a lot of people in your business that are very understanding of that if you are sharing what your values are and displaying what your values are, because you know anybody who's most of my clients have had kids or are wanting to have kids, right? A lot of life changes that are happening for everybody, and they get how busy that can be, and so
Yeah.
it's just communicating, hey, what's our ability to go and tour? When can we meet? And yeah, I just got to get approval from the boss, you know. And we manage ourselves pretty well that way.
Now, my friend Michelle gave me an awesome question, and we're almost done here. In case you can use this also as a podcast. You don't have to look at us; you can listen to us. Just a heads up. My friend Michelle loves true crime podcasts,
Oh yeah.
and she was saying, "Well, aren't there times when you feel like you're almost in danger when you're meeting with someone new?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, I think I just watched a Netflix series where there was the guy that was a realtor. It was called Reptiles, and yeah, and so it's like you see stuff within real estate where there's some, you know, I guess sketchy stuff that's going on, and you want to always be mindful of it. And I think it's like everything else, you know, you have to have awareness of your surroundings. You have to be willing to question what's actually going on. Hey, somebody's reaching out to me brand new. Do I have I spoke with them? Do I have a good gut feeling about what's going on here?
Mm.
And if I have any question mark in that, who can I reach out to give them a heads up? Like, hey,
Ah,
I am going to be showing this home. I don't know who this individual is. Please check in with me. Or
wow.
if
Okay.
you don't hear from me, or are you willing to come and be with me
Hmm.
while I'm there, right? Just so you have that extra safeguard. So there's ways, and there's
Wow.
classes out there too that people should take advantage of if they feel like they're unsafe.
Do you know Taekwondo?
I don't, but I'll scrap.
The scrap? What does that mean?
If, I'll do whatever I need
Oh,
to
I see.
survive. That's right.
Watch out. Oh my God. I mean, what do you wish you'd been taught before going into realty,
Let's
or
see.
given a heads up about?
Yeah, that I did quite a bit of research. So I've been in the industry for 9 years as a licensed agent, and previous to that, I was doing a lot of real estate investment studying and involvement within um, investment associations. And so I felt like doing and being in the work and having that passion for it, and learning ways to put together a deal or
Mm,
ways to move through a transaction and problem solve are the big keys. And I learned a lot of that in the corporate world, and I'm blessed to have that experience. When I was at United Health Group and Optum Health, I kind of started frontline on the phones, and
mm,
then I moved my way up into leadership. And so along each rung, you learn new skill sets. And
sure.
so one of the first skill sets I learned was listening to my own phone calls, because it can be cringy to hear
Mm,
yourself using filler words like crazy to get through a conversation where there's power in silence,
yeah.
right? And so that was one of the first things that I wanted to correct for myself, because in listening to my phone calls, I was like, this is not how you communicate
Mm,
effectively,
mm-hmm.
right? And keep somebody's attention or get them down the right story path for them to be influenced in the right way that's right for them, right? And so for me, I was like, okay, let me listen to my call again. How many filler words did I use? And was I comfortable in silence? And so that customer service skill set has carried through in being able to have the right conversations with people, and then also managing people, right? So
Yeah.
I got into leadership. Along the way, I was doing project management, business analyst work. I did client
Mm,
implementation. And so
God.
it was a highly matrixed organization where you were talking with all types of levels of people, right?
Wow.
VPs, senior leadership, and they have certain expectations on what information you share with them,
Mm,
and being truthful and honest, and not trying to just make yourself look good, but just share the reality of the situation.
okay.
And so that's the same in real estate. It's like
Yeah.
you can't just tell people what they want to hear.
Yeah.
You need to tell them what's real,
That's true.
right? What's going to potentially be the outcome here? What's the good and the bad? And what is our most common outcome, right? With our track record, and how can we help you get success in securing a home or selling your home, and making sure that we can navigate through inspection and appraisal issues, and everything that may arise. And you know people want to know you can spearhead that, and
Makes
that's what we
sense.
always try to convey. And so yeah, I'm not sure if I'm answering the
Yeah, you are.
question of what skill set do I wish I've had. It's like I just feel very blessed that I came from the environment that I did to have all of these skills. The project management role, that's what real estate is. It's
Yeah.
who's in charge of what,
Yeah.
and
That's
what
true.
timeline does it need to be done, and what are the risks along the way, and how can we overcome them, right? And then did we close? And so yep, I'm thankful for those
Wow.
opportunities.
Two things for you that if you're not sure what filler words are, we're talking like so, well, anything that's not relevant to the actual sentence. Toastmasters is a great way to learn. Power Talk seminars is a great way to learn it. But yeah, if you're in customer service, that would really help with your posture. And I'm not talking posture; I'm talking how you come across. It's you really don't use filler words.
I'm not perfect, but I try to be mindful of it,
You are
especially when I talk on the topic. It makes me a lot more conscious of that. It's very easy to be using filler words, and I'm not perfect. I use them plenty.
the thing about using filler words that I've realized is not only is it disruptive when you're listening to someone because it's almost like a hiccup in the conversation, or it also makes you sound like you're not sure of what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, silence is powerful, and so is speaking more slowly if you don't know what you're going to say,
Mm-hmm.
and just even literally the way you stand. You know.
Yeah, body language is what 80% of the conversation, they say. And I work with people who are first time home buyers, and I work with people who are luxury home buyers, and you kind of get a spectrum of people. Some are really super casual, and some are big time business professionals who are very particular, right? And they
Mm-hmm.
might have a background where, and I mean, this could be any of my clients, but they might study this stuff, and when they do, they judge you a little more for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, for example, if I'm going through a book that is specific on communication and relating with people, and you remember certain concepts, and they'll tell you, like, well, when you notice people doing this, isn't it painful? And then you start to notice it in conversation,
Mm.
right? And so, when you're with people who are of that background, you just want to always be conscious of, am I having any annoyance in my conversation that's distracting them from understanding the main message? Right? So if I'm saying things where I'm saying like every other word, or I don't know where the sentence is going to go, and so I'm just fumbling over it with ums and ahs. Yeah, that can be difficult, and maybe I don't land a client because of it, and I don't want that to be the situation.
Or even my favorite is upspeak.
Upspeak,
Upspeak.
upspeak.
It's a I I don't even know if it's fair to say women in the Midwest or people in the Midwest, but it seems to damage women more when you're ending sentences like
Oh
you're
yes,
buying a house.
with the high pitch,
Say
making
wait
everything a question.
question.
Mm,
Oh.
yeah, yeah, and when you notice it, I don't, not everybody goes through the same professional or personal development, so it's not like you judge those people necessarily in most cases, but when you notice it, you're just like, okay, well, there's something that distracted me a little bit,
Yeah.
right? And hopefully they catch on at some point, and that becomes different in the way that they communicate. But yeah, it can be a distraction.
I would be paying attention to how the person shows me the home in terms of how confident they sound about what we're looking at, as well as do they show up on time when we are going to meet. Can I tell that they're truthful about the buyer, as well as friendliness? I mean, do I feel comfortable around the person? And sometimes all that takes is a smile.
Right.
Really.
Yeah. Yeah, the body language that can display whether you're confident or not, right? There's those power positions and things like that too that can help create the impression that maybe people desire. And some people don't care about that, and that's okay. It's just finding your own personal stature and your own way of trying to carry yourself that you're proud of.
Yeah, and it dawned on me that even nervousness is not a bad thing. All you have to say is, God, I'm so nervous because I'm
Yeah,
so
it's
excited to
okay to
see
admit
this
those
home.
things. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like
It's
just
okay to
own
have
it.
some vulnerability of,
Yeah,
yeah, it's like
yes,
there's
yes.
no emotions that should be avoided, and it's, yeah, you want transparency in that. With my clients, I want to know, like, is this a scary situation?
Mm,
And a lot of times, to help make things less scary, it's just you need to have that upfront consult, right? Whether it's a listing consult or a buyer consult, let's lay a lot of things out on the line that are most typical. You can't cover absolutely everything, but can we cover the most important 80% of it? And then, yeah, we'll tackle the other things if they arise, or as they arise, we can touch on it and maybe not go into major depth. But yeah, let's make sure people are provided the options and understand what could arise and know that
God.
we can get over things.
You're what, in the top 1% in the region?
Yeah, I've been anywhere between the top 1% to 5% of the state, and it's people can make a lot of different claims, right? And so that's based off of either number of transactions
Sure.
or sales volume, right? Those are typical measures of that, and so you know it's fun to be there as a resource for people. Life changes for people,
God.
and no matter what happens in the real estate market, I hope that people know that I can help them navigate change, and that's hopefully how I can keep my business going and have that staying power. Is even if the market's up or down, if you can be the person people rely on when life change happens, your business can keep going.
What do you do for fun? Speaking of which,
Yeah. Well, I've been having a lot of fun with my family, right? So we try to do as much to entertain the kids to help us stay sane, but also things that are fun for us while watching them too, right? So we'll get out with our friends. Like I brought Jackson to a chili cookout event last weekend, and so that was fun.
oh,
Steph was needed some downtime because it was time to get ready for the week, but um, so we do stuff like that. We go to the park.
oh,
We like to go to places that are outdoors that have music going. Jackson loves to dance, and so
and dog friendly too,
yeah,
because
yes, dog
Coda,
friendly. Yep, we like to go
Coda.
to dog friendly places. Walks. I mean, we do a lot of walking.
That's cool.
Walk to a park, or get to the Mall of America, walk around, um, see the progression of what he might be able to get into in like we'll go to Maple Maze, and that is great. It's a challenging space because there's some things that he can't do yet, right? And
Mm.
so we love going there and seeing what he can overcome. And then
Oh wow.
yeah, at the Mall of America, there's like one little kid play area, and
Mm,
so he's not quite tall enough for rides. Some you can go on with a parent,
cool.
and um, we're big Packer fans, and so my wife has season tickets along with her brother, and so we'll go to some Packer games.
Wow.
We went to Back to the Future at the Orpheum Theater. They
Ooh,
have that as a theater show. Phenomenal.
cool.
It was really cool. The transitions that they had with the DeLorean and the screens and the digital work that they did to make it feel
Ooh,
like you were actually traveling through time was pretty neat.
wow.
Yeah.
Now to wrap it up, if you could finish this sentence, no one would believe it if they saw me blank, whether it's doing or seeing or whatever.
That's good. Well, for people that maybe don't know me, doing yoga. I'm actually I went through a yoga teacher training
Ooh,
when I lived down in Atlanta, and I love it. It's something that I
cool.
try to do every day in some way, shape, or form. I might not do a full practice, but there's certain poses that help me loosen up, and I like to
Wow,
stay loose. And so body breath work. It's I think
that is
very important for
cool.
me. I think that brings me a lot of peace and stress relief.
Yoga.
Yeah.
Teachers I know of yoga are Monica Staley and actually two Monicas, Monica Staley and Monica Delius. Look them up on LinkedIn, connect with them, take a lesson from them, see what you think. And thank you so much for tuning in to the Lily channel. That's Laugh, Inspire, Learn, Innovate. Yes, it actually stands for something.
I
Thank you,
appreciate that. Yeah,
Lynn.
yeah. Thank
This
you
was
for
so
having me.
cool. Woo! See you guys soon and subscribe, please. Thank you. And if that actually